Madam Clerk, could we get roll call?
Trustee Coates, Trustee Laird,
Present.
Trustee Milne,
Here.
Trustee Nicolason, Chairman North.
Here. Could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to start out tonight. We're actually going to separate these into two different sections. We're going to go through parks rules to start with. And we will limit the comments to the parks rules only when you first come up until we get through that portion of it. And then we'll go through the fee structure after that. And we'll do that the same way. And then we'll open it up for public comment at the end. Is that not on?
Approve these minutes.
Yeah. Well, I'll move into that. It shows it's on. Still can't hear it. Can you turn the volume up? Okay.
Sheriff's office was in here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mine didn't
All
have
right.
it either.
Is that better?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing.
Anybody hear that?
Still pretty
I
quiet.
don't think it's on, Michelle.
Sound like it did.
Yeah, to whatever that's set or no.
It's not supposed to.
No, that
Hello.
Still not. There it goes. Okay, that's better. Okay, we will start out again. Start with, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from 8-1, 2-5, 3-5, and 3-25?
I move we approve those minutes.
Okay. You have a second?
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Okay, so moved. All right. Now we will move into the public hearing portion of this. We'll start out with the parks rules, and we'll go through those. So all comments need to be pertaining strictly to the parks rules at that time. We'll go through those completely. At the end of that, we will have a vote, motion either to approve or to postpone those or table them or correct them. And then we will move into the hearing for the fees. And we'll do the same thing. And then at the end of that, we'll have public comment. So we got any comment about that or any question about that? Yeah. All right, we'll start out with Michael. If you'll just stand up and go through the parks rules real quick and where we're at on that.
Okay, so the previous Parks Advisory Board and staff went through the 2021 rules 16 months ago, finalized them about a year ago, and then we've done some revisions since. The rules are, most of the changes are minor. There's not a lot. There's some verbiage change. We reorganized the definitions so they were alphabetical. One of the important things with the reservation campsites, the way that's defined, it states now that the reserve site shall only be allowed one camping unit as defined below, unless specifically designated otherwise. That gives the department the ability to take some of the larger reservation sites and make them into multiple unit sites, which once these rules are approved, we'll start reviewing those sites and updating the online system as well as some of the signage for that. And then obviously that if you can have two campers there, you're gonna pay more than if you can only have one. But that's a big improvement. It provides us some flexibility to do some things that a lot of the public wants multiple unit sites they can reserve. The other definition we revised was the firearms reservation definition to include firearms slash projectiles. It just made more sense to do that. We included a definition for golf carts, multi-purpose vehicles, off-road recreational vehicles, definition for peace officer. We put in a definition for seasonal closures that has more defined dates, but those can still be determined by the parks director if we need to adjust those for certain areas. But we have a typical seasonal closure season now, and this mostly affects the mountain. And then I believe we also adjusted winter months definition, basically designating that by the parks director depending on the weather. For example, this April's looking pretty good, but 2 years ago it was not. Let me just go through here. I'm just going through here real quick. Section 6, authority to enforce, that was revised a little bit from the previous rules. Basically requiring a duly qualified peace officer shall have the authority to enforce these rules and regulations. Mostly that was changed due to the term peace officer. We did also under section 7, item I, it now states all camping permits expire at 12 p.m. on the last day of the permit period. The timing used to be 11 a.m. and staff and I just felt that we could extend that to noon and still get our operations done before the next campers check in at 3, and provide just a little bit more time within the campsite. Under domestic pets and livestock, we revised item F. Just saying grazing or ranging of domestic animals is prohibited without prior written permission. And then we added, I believe we added item J, providing that equines are allowed in the parks for riding and swimming except for these specific areas: Sandy Beach, Little Beach, Crimson Dawn Park, Archer Range, and Hell's Half Acre. That was just a lot of our trails. People enjoy using them on horseback. Some people have enjoyed taking their horses out to the lake for a ride and a swim. So we just wanted to clarify that and where that was allowed. Under section 11, fees, we believe we added item B about empty boat trailers being stored in a designated boat trailer storage site, what's required there, and how that how the trailers can be towed if they don't display a permit sticker or current registration on those. And then we added under the section 11 fees, item D, pertaining to deposit for the use of the Nordic Ski Lodge or Casper Mountain Trail Center is required. Continuing on, section 13, fishing and trapping. It used to be called fishing, hunting, and trapping. I believe we clarified about fishing from any boat ramps, docks, mooring areas, or designated areas is prohibited. And item H under section 13, bow fishing was clarified. Bow fishing and underwater spear fishing is allowed where and when permitted by the Wyoming Game and Fish Department and as otherwise regulated by these rules. Can jump ahead to section 17. One of the major changes there was, I believe the old rules said you could not, unless otherwise permitted on parks lands, no person shall possess a firearm or projectile device. With state law and some of the regulations due to firearms at the national level, we changed that to no person shall discharge a firearm or other projectile device as defined in the definitions section unless in full compliance with Wyoming state law and these rules and regulations. So that was a change there. Change from possession to discharge. I think we did a simple correction under sanitation. E pertains to bathrooms, outhouses, and other public structures, to not deposit anything other than basically paper and human waste in those. So it used to say except in the toilets. We clarified that toilets are thrones as there's not a toilet in an outhouse, there's a throne. So semantics probably, but that was done. Section 20, special areas, we reorganized this. It bounced around from the mountain to the lake to Hell's Half Acres. So the first item is Casper Mountain. Typically the same rules that were in effect in 21 are still here for Rotary Park and the Bridle Trail, Crimson Dawn Park, Ponderosa Park, the archery range, the outdoor center at McMurray Range, also known as Biathlon Range, the Slash Pile area. The Casper Mountain Trail Center is kind of been cleaned up, and I don't remember if that one was in there, but just defining typical hours, what's allowed, what's not allowed. We went into the Alcoa Special Area. Those are real similar to the previous rules. Nothing really jumps out on that that I recall changing. And we have a special area, the Platte River Rod and Gun Club Rifle Range is listed here. Hell's Half Acre is listed. I believe that might be new. We're doing some improvements out there, so these rules are kind of in line with the improvements that are going to occur at Hell's Half Acre this year. I know county legal did some revisions on section 23, motor vehicles / vehicles. I think it was mostly statute and maybe just improving the narrative to represent what's out there. Section 24, I believe, was added for off-road recreational vehicles, multi-purpose vehicles, and golf carts. And I believe that's the major summary of the revisions that occurred and have been proposed. Hope maybe the Board of Trustees recalls something we discussed in the last few months that I may have overlooked.
Do we have any questions? The director? Okay, thank you, Michael. All right, at this time, we'll take public comment for the rules. Have any public comment? Please state your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Sheila Drillhurst. My address is 3720 West 45th Street. I reviewed the rules and regulations, and I did listen to the meeting your last meeting on March 5th. I wasn't able to attend because my son was sick, but I heard all of the operations, areas of operations that Mr. Brown and his staff handle, and I was dumbfounded. My first thought was, how does one manager and 6 staff members manage 6 different areas in our county? He mentioned Casper Mountain, he mentioned Hell's Half Acre, Vista West Park, Alcova, Pathfinder, and Gray Reef. A lot of Casper Mountain, it sounds like it was managed by other clubs like the Biathlon Club, the Bridal Trail, no, not the Bridal Trail, I'm sorry, the Trail Center. And I mean, just on the mountain, there's 17 outhouse vaults that they have to manage. Pathfinder has 5 campgrounds, and there are 11 campsites, 5 boat ramps with 3 docks, RV dump station, footbridge. Alcova alone has 81 reservation campsites and 100 total campsites that are first come, first serve, which most of those are not fitting for campers at all. My concern about a lot of this is the staff. How do you only have 6 full-time staff members to manage all these areas? He's got a huge plate. I can't believe how much he has to do with just one person. I don't know if he has an assistant. I don't know how much the Parks Department gals help out up front, but I literally was just dumbfounded. And kudos to you, Mr. Brown. I don't know how you're doing it, honestly. So thank you for everything you're doing. On the rules part of it, I wanted to mention that there isn't anything about leaving campers or any kind of vehicle unattended overnight. I know they used to have that, and it's no longer in there. So my question and concern is, are people going to be cited if their campers are left unattended for X amount of days, even though they have a permit? Because that is a big battle that I know the Sheriff's Department, the Parks Department have between each other, because one says, you know, you got to call the Parks Department about it. The other says you got to call the sheriff about it. And so people get frustrated, and next thing you know, you have crime. People are fighting. I mentioned in a meeting a couple months ago, or a couple of meetings ago, that, you know, a sheriff told me that a gun was pulled on somebody because they thought they had their spot and they didn't, and somebody else came in and took that spot, and it's insane. I made an example about people leaving, a gentleman had left his sailboat trailer unattended, and we were there camping, and it washed up from a big storm, and if that trailer was still there, it would have went right into the river, or excuse me, into the lake. Not to mention he had no tags, no permit, and I just don't see this camping reservation system being, it's just not working because they don't have the staff to manage it.
Not to interrupt you too much, but in section 4,
Okay,
abandoned property and vehicles
Okay.
is listed, and we actually have an entire section on that.
correct. But it doesn't specify what is gonna be done. Before, you know, people would, you know, be told that you can't leave your stuff there. But my question is, like, is there gonna be fines? Is there going to be, you know, if you keep doing this, you're gonna be 86 out of here? Like that, I guess that's what would be more, I feel like there should be more detail as to what kind of punishment you will get if you do this.
Commissioner North, if I may, we do, sorry, we do have on the last page, section 29, the penalty clauses, and that applies. Also, the abandoned vehicles, that's statutory.
Okay.
So there wasn't much we could do. And so if you read it in conjunction with section 29.
Okay, I will do that.
Hopefully that answers that for you. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else that would like to discuss the park rules? Okay, anyone else? Okay, and I'll give you one more chance for anybody else who would like to discuss the park rules. Okay, at this point in time, I will close this portion of the hearing and trustees' discussion on that. So, any discussion? Mr. Nicolason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for the overview, Michael. And I appreciated Mr. Elishar's comments. I think there are maybe some concerns about adequate staffing, and I think that the Board of Trustees can work with you in the future to make sure that we have both adequate funding and adequate staff. I think there are there's a whole long list of things that you're needing to take care of. So I will look forward to having the Board of Trustees work with you on that, Michael. I've heard from other people that the reservation system could be improved. And I think that that's something else that the Board of Trustees can work with you on to see if we can make it more streamlined and maybe a little more user-friendly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments about the rules?
Just one comment on these people that ma'am, you were talking about that leave their boats there. There is a penalty provision here, but the sheriff will have to enforce that, so you'll have to turn them into the sheriff. The other thing about staffing, Mr. Nicolason touched upon it, but it's all about money. And one of the things that we're all a little concerned about is some of these taxes got cut, and we're gonna be 3 or 4 million short for next year anyway. So money is always a big issue about how we can hire people and for how much and all that kind of thing.
Any other comments? Okay, if we don't have any other comments, do we have a motion for approval of the park rules?
Make a motion to approve the park rules and regulations.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? So moved. All right, we will move on to the fee structure at this point in time. Michael, would you mind coming back up and giving us an overview of that?
So I've been working for the county right at 4 years, and probably my first week on the job, I looked at some of our fee structures and revenue streams and thought we need to do some improvement and get kind of up to date with what we charge for our services and our camping and whatnot. And finally, we're here at this point. So I believe it was 3 years ago, state law required us to start charging sales tax and lodging tax on camping sites. So on the first come, first serve, that went from $10, which is our base revenue fee, to $12. Now, when you do those taxes and calculations, it's less than 12, but most people don't carry change when they go out camping. They have ones and tens and 20s. So we rounded it up to even it out. That was, I think, an extra 35 cents or 40 cents. And so the reservation system, of course, that went up too. Our credit card processor, we now have a new vendor, which alleviates some of the additional costs for having that service. And I think it's changed the rates. I don't have those with me of what the credit card, actually it's $2 or 3.2% now, and that's fixed. It doesn't adjust and fluctuate. So we've kind of alleviated the change in that, but what we've come up with is, I'll find my percent increases. So non-reservation, first come, first serve, cash envelope camping. The total charge before, or currently, is $12. The proposed new charge for that is $15. That's approximately a 25% increase. That changes our base fee from $10, so the base revenue that the county receives from that, from $10 to $13.39. $15 a night for that type of camping is less than the Forest Service campgrounds and a lot of the state park campgrounds. Now, I'm sure folks will say state parks are a lot nicer. Well, they got a lot more money, they got more area, they got more staff. We're working on that. We've been working on improving sites, new tables, fire rings, leveling sites, graveling sites. You know, this summer, go take a look at Bear Trap and see what you think. You can get bigger campers in there now. They're leveled, they have gravel, so you're not in the mud. So we're working on that to improve those. The reservation, camping such as Okie Beach and Black Beach. Previous total charge was $13.20. The proposed out-of-pocket is an even $17. So if you take the credit card fee away of $2, it puts it at 15, just like the cash envelope system. However, you're getting the service of reserving your site, making sure you have the site, and so that, you know, maybe that's the convenience fee of that. The full hookups with electric, water, and sewer, they previously out of pocket was $41.20 a night. The proposed is an even $51. That's a 25% increase. I think the reservation at Okie Beach and Black Beach, it was a little bit higher at 33.9%. Our shelters are going to be going from $52 to $64. Our area use fees, when you have an event, say at the mountain in the stadium area or something, that's going to go from $52 to $64. The alcohol permit, which is through the county clerk, the county parks is no longer charging for an alcohol permit if they're not selling it. We're just dealing with that in their use application. Their base fee is $50, and then with a credit card fee is $1.60. But that's through the county clerk's office. We didn't change that fee. The boat docks, daily rental boat docks, they're going from $17 to $20.75. That's a 25% increase. We have new rates for the lodge. The old lodge in 2014 was $350, 7 days a week, a day. We put that new rate for Friday, Saturday, Sundays at $600. And then we have a government nonprofit rate at $300. And then Monday through Thursday, the regular rate is $400 to rent the lodge. And government nonprofit rate is $200. That does require a $250 cleaning deposit, which we would prefer to have that as cash or check, so we can hold that. Because if it's done by credit card, then you get charged a credit card fee up front, and we cannot refund that credit card fee. But we will take a deposit via credit card. You just lose the whatever the credit card fee rate is.
Excuse me just a minute. I'm reading here on this sheet I've got that the Fridays through Sunday rental of the lodges went up to $800.
That's actually a 6, and the print is, or no.
Looks like an 8 to me.
Yeah, that should be a 6 because the government nonprofit rate's half of that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a 6 for 600.
Thank you.
And then our Nordic Trail passes, and all of these fees haven't been raised since 2012, 2014. Currently an annual adult pass is $50. So,
Michael, we actually raised the Nordic,
That-
we actually raised the Nordic Trail in 21 or 20.
okay,
That
I
went
guess
from that went from 35 to 50.
okay, I guess I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
that one.
That might have been when you got rid of the
That one,
family.
that's one that I know of
Okay.
that was changed, but I don't know about the rest of them.
So that's gonna go to $75. And then a minor seasonal pass is gonna go from 25 to 35. And day passes are gonna go from $10 to $12.50 for day passes. What we've done, what my staff has done extensively, from the overnight camping fees to the ski pass fees, we've researched these and looked at comparables around the area. The ski passes were a little harder to find, but we looked at some of the ski areas down in Colorado, and I've had comments from all over the state, the region, that our Nordic trails are vastly superior to most of what you can find. So we provide a high quality product. And at the current rates, we don't even cover half of the fuel costs for grooming each year. So some kind of bump I would highly recommend having done so that we can try and cover the expenses of providing some of this recreational area. Jump down to boat trailer storage. To store your empty boat trailer on a permitted BLM property we have at Alcova, the previous rate was $20. We're proposing raising that to 25.
By the date?
No, it's for season. And part of the reason to raise that rate is it takes quite a bit of time for staff to make sure people have their permits and they have registered current registration on their trailers, and then sheriff's office follows up on that when we provide them a list. But there are trailers out there that were registered in 2016 and not since, or 2014, or they don't have tags, or they don't have a VIN number, and they're very hard to figure out who the owner is. So we're trying to improve that course as well. And so that little bit of an increase on that would help facilitate the time that we spend on that. The last one, and I saved this one for last because in the 2021 rules, it stated that the board could charge a fee for commercial dumping in our slash pile. These numbers kind of came about just looking at the amount of time staff spends every week in the summertime managing that slash pile. And we spend probably on average 5 hours a week with a piece of equipment, piling it up, taking the pallets out, taking the couches out, and those items. And the commercial dumping is a significant part of what goes in that slash pile. So, you know, if you're a commercial operation, you're getting rid of slash, I don't think we're out of line on charging $10 a load and allowing you to dump 20 loads. Problem with this, as well as a lot of our other things, is we don't have the staff to enforce a lot of this. So it's an honor system. I got a lot of faith in people, which is the wrong way to go, but I have a lot of faith that people, you know, pay what's right, pay what's required. So that's the summary of the fees.
Any questions for Michael? Michael, on the slash pile, and I do agree that that's enforcement is going to be a tough issue to do. But if it's commercial, I'm guessing they're probably not bringing pallets and they're probably not bringing couches.
No, it's just the quantity that
Yeah.
comes in.
And so, I'm just wondering how we would actually enforce that and what.
You know, staff could do random checks. I mean, that's how we do our Nordic passes is random checks through the parking lot and occasional checking on the trails. But yeah, you know, because we hire one seasonal caretaker for the mountain every year, and between their wages and overburden for an employee plus the vehicle and everything, the $35,000 in camping fees barely covers the expense of that caretaker to maintain what's there. And keep it.
How, with commercial loads, I guess I'm still wondering just how would you would actually enforce that, or how you even tell, because I know if it's on the honor system and it's more than,
You know, I don't know. I mean, put a gate up and say a certain number of hours you can drop your slash off. You could put game cameras up, but again, that requires staff to review the footage and see who came in and out. So I guess honestly, I put this here, maybe word of mouth gets this out and people actually want to follow our regulations and pay the appropriate fees for use of our facilities.
What is the definition of a commercial load?
I would consider any contracted logger, any contracted handyman that's cleaning up somebody's site up there. You know, if you're getting paid to clean it up, we're gonna let you dump it for free. I mean, if you're spending all summer long cleaning up 100 properties up there and you're getting to dump that slash for free, I mean, you know, I don't know. I just feel like it's
I'm just playing devil's advocate on this because we don't have a written definition of what a commercial load is, do we?
It is not in the rules you all just approved. I don't know
Okay,
if it may
yeah.
be somewhere else.
special use area slash fire. It says, under the special use area, page 18, section F, item 3, it states, contractors, tree companies, or loggers are required to obtain a commercial dump permit.
Okay, but that doesn't give you a volume. That's what I'm getting at.
Right, but we
So-
allow up to 20 loads, so we
I-
haven't defined what that load is. Maybe that
That-
needs to be an end dump, a 18-foot dump trailer.
That's where I'm going with that, is that,
Mr. Chairman, I don't think you need to define volume. If it's commercial, whether it's one stick or a dump truck load, if they're getting paid to move it, it's commercial.
so, I'm just, like I said, I'm just playing devil's advocate on this. Some people,
Put up
Yes.
cameras so we know what they're doing.
wait,
Michael, if the, for the slash pile for commercial, if they so choose not to, get their permit and pay the $200 for it, and you catch them there, what's the, what happens at that point?
Well, I believe under these rules, it states they're required to have that, so the sheriff's office can enforce these rules as a misdemeanor under the penalty clause.
That's all I needed to hear.
Mr. Coates?
Hey, Michael, thanks for putting all this together. Can you tell me these fee increases? These fee increases, how much of operating are they gonna cover?
Honestly, if I had my choice on these increases, I would have doubled the amount of increase and put it closer to what the state, on the mountain is a little more clearly defined. I think it'll stay in tune with, the increases we're proposing for our seasonal staff and our staff, so, kind of keep us at the status quo, to be honest with you. At this time, we have fairly new, caretaker trucks, so I don't expect that replacement to happen for another, hopefully 5 years. So that expense, you know, has been taken care of recently. But our chemicals, our supplies, everything's gone up probably close to this 15. I would say probably 15% since I started with the county.
So you're saying that there's still significant taxpayer benefit? So these fees alone aren't going to sustain as they are.
What's that?
Basically, we're not making money on this.
No.
We're still supporting
No, we're
this.
just keeping the operation as is and maybe having a little bit of extra change to improve, you know, some of the things. You know, a small project we're doing at the lake, we're replacing all the kiosks, putting new glass, new backer board, new information in them. And so, you know, camping at the lake brings in probably close to $200,000 a year. So if you put 25% increase on that, we're looking at 50 grand. And then on the mountain, if you put it at 30 grand and 25%, you're looking at $7,500. So that's the type of level of increase. So it's not significantly changes our revenue stream, but it does help us.
Thank you.
Michael, I think, I think I'd like to know if we can put a camera, at the slash pile and what that would cost. You know, maybe we can do a solar thing. Maybe you don't monitor it 24/7, but if you see 6 couches and 42 pallets one morning, you can look at the video. I don't think it'd be a bad idea for the board of trustees to at least, you know, have better maybe ability to monitor what's going on at the slash pile. And maybe it's in part a weather station. I know we've got some of that going on at the Nordic Lodge. But at least we could look at it. The other thing is I think we should make it easier for people to pay. And I know that in a lot of other states, they're at their parks, there's a QR code and somebody just hits it with their phone. It's on the board at all the parks and they hit it on their phone and it's a couple taps and they paid, whether it's a annual fee or a day fee or whatever. And I think that could be, you know, for the honest folks out there.
And we do have that for the trail passes, all our signs, and then staff has a little hard card with the QR code on it. So if somebody hasn't purchased a pass, it's like, well, here, go to the website and purchase your pass. So.
Well, we might think about expanding that. And the other thing, but I think that's enough for now. Thanks.
And one more thing, as with all these fees, we're talking about slash pile. You know, there's people that are going to slip through. But the more we work on this and improve this, the more people are going to understand. And I will give kudos to the landowners on the mountain about that slash pile. When there's junk in that pile, they pretty much call somebody out and they pretty much know who it is, and it usually gets corrected. And if the person that did it doesn't correct it, one of the landowners usually takes care of it. So that's much appreciated.
Okay, we got any other question for Michael?
I think you ought to examine the possibility of cameras for a lot of areas. So you could see if somebody's leaving there, have a camera situated so you can see if somebody's leaving a boat there and who it was. Because, it's, you know, when you're not there all the time, people do tend to take advantage of things. So when you're looking into these costs, I'd like to know a little more about it. I think you can do this maybe for a little, make it safer out there for people, number one, and make people be aware of the fact that now it's just not a freebie where they can say it wasn't them. At least we should look into it. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
See what
Definitely.
the cost might be
You
and
know,
the areas I'd like to know the areas you think it would be helpful to have a camera at.
yeah, there's a few areas. I'm not a fan of the nanny state. I'll just put it that way personally. But the security cameras within the new lodge, we've had the door didn't latch because it's a new building and, you know, and there's snow jammed up and people went in late. And we don't have it on my phone yet, but we're getting there. But I went up and reviewed the footage and could tell they just went used the bathroom after hours. They didn't vandalize anything or whatnot, but we do have that ability there. So, yeah, having that ability at other places.
Well, just having the cameras up, I think, is a deterrent, a really good deterrent for most people.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that with this budget cycle coming up and see what we can do. I know you guys love hearing about spending more money. Thank you.
All right. Any of those that wish to speak about the rate increases?
Sheila Jolhurst, 3720 West 45th Street here in Casper. I honestly wasn't even gonna speak because I feel like this is pointless at this time. Because I feel like everybody's mind's already made up about the fees, but what I keep hearing is we don't have the staff. We don't have the staff to manage this. We don't have the staff to manage that. Yet you're going to make us people pay more in fees, but you don't have the staff to improve things. And I know he said he's working on improving things, but when I was listening to that meeting back on March 5th, there was so much in this areas of operations that I heard from, we started it in 2021 and we finally got done in 2024. It's so disappointing. It really is. I told this before, I'm going to say it again. Back when I was younger, it was first come, first serve. You could park 10 campers in one spot. You were getting 10 campers worth of money from each camper, from those people. And now you're getting one fee per camper in one spot. That's where you lost money. I mean, that's so clear to me. I don't understand why we even came to the camping reservation system. I don't know why it got put into place. I don't even remember back when it was into place that it was even open to the public to speak about it. I didn't notice it back then as much as I do now. Maybe because my parents paid for camping and I didn't. I don't know. But it's just, and this is not a time to raise prices on people. It just isn't. The economy is so horrible right now. It's $8 a carton of eggs, for crying sakes. I just think that charging people $15 to $17 a campsite is just ridiculous when you can't even manage what is there now. That's all I got. I don't know what else to say. I'm just super disappointed. And it's not with you guys, it's just with the whole system, with the whole thing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Name's Condo Edwards, 3870 Squaw Creek Road. I know you said you only make like $200,000 on the campsites, but he makes $490,000 on the trailer park. I noticed they got new pickups, but they can't afford to pay staff. I know there's money there. I know they're getting money from both sides, trailer park, all the boat club, ski club, cabins. So I know there's more money than what's being allotted. So why can't we use some of that to get more staff out there to help? Or fix stuff around there more? Just saying, I mean, there's more money than what's being told. So that's all I got.
That's not really, I mean, that wasn't really related directly to the fee
Well,
increases. I understand what you're saying.
you got the fees coming up,
Yeah.
and you're raising the fees. Why raise the fees when he's saying he's understaffed, and that's why he's wanting to raise it, right?
No, he's raising it because it hadn't been brought up in several years. And this is still below where we currently are, where the state parks, where the
Well-
Forest Service and some of the others charge on their
Okay,
rates.
comparing us to Colorado, sorry for interrupting, but comparing us to Colorado is, I don't think that's correct either. And I know he was talking about the ski resorts, but the ski resorts are way higher than,
Well, even the state parks are higher than what we
Yeah,
currently
and I
are,
understand that.
And that's within the state. So that's basically what we're looking at on this.
and I agree with this young lady over here. I was going out there when I was a kid. We were paying $5 a night. And now we're up to 15.
Yeah.
My parents are older, and now they're expected to pay $61 for a reserved. They're living on a fixed income. I mean, you got a lot of people that are doing that. I don't think that's right either. And I understand we're trying to make money there, but I think we need to look at some of the other costs there also.
Well, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but right now,
Yeah.
we can talk about this in public comment as well. So,
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else? All right. Any board discussion?
I just have a couple comments.
Go ahead.
Condo, didn't I go to high school with your dad? His name's Condo, isn't it? He's a good guy. I want you to tell him I said hello. Oh, is he? I wondered about that. I'm sorry to hear that. So I'm just going to give you an analogy here on this costs and everything for a young man. I look at you as a young man. I'm quite a bit older than you. I remember we used to have a movie theater here called the Rex. And for 16 cents, you got in and you got a bag of popcorn and a Coke. And then they raised it to 25 cents and everybody got mad. And now, I think the last time I went to the movie, my wife and I, it cost us $30 with popcorn and Coke and stuff like that. So everything's going up and nobody likes it. I have a piece of property that in the last 4.5 years here, they've raised the taxes on it 3 times. 3 times what it was. And I can tell you, we try to keep the costs down in Wyoming as best we can. But I don't think I'm going to vote for any of these raises. I think they're going to pass, and I think we probably need them. And it's just not so simple as looking at the money that it generates out there. We look at the whole county, the amount of money we have in this county and where it all needs to be spread out. And we commissioners sure wish we had about twice as much money. But then that would mean the taxpayers, all of their houses and everything would go up. The sales tax would go up, and you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But your dad was a really nice guy. I got along well with him in high school.
All right, have we got any other comments? Having none, do we have any motion? Mr. Miller.
Make a motion to accept the increase of park fees as proposed. Just saw, for discussion.
Second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Milne or Mr. Milne, and second by Mr. Coates. Any other discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So we've heard a lot, or I have, about the slash pile and the concern residents have up there. I want to make sure that everybody's aware. The key word to this rate is commercial. We're looking at commercial operations where people are receiving benefit for their work and then going somewhere and dumping that refuge for free, not part of their, it's a hell of a business plan when you can get rid of your waste for free. Trust me. That the county shouldn't, the citizens of the county shouldn't pay for somebody else's commercial operations. And that's what has been going on. So a little bit of skin in the game is good. And that's what a lot of this is skin in the game. I don't use the Nordic trails. Not at all. I highly doubt if I'll use the lodge. The lakes, I haven't been out to the lake other than driving around it in years on my motorcycle. I don't stop, I don't camp, I don't do anything. Yeah, my tax dollars pay for those people to help subsidize those activities. That we're asking a little bit of increase here to help offset expenses that are required for a budget year where it looks like we're going to be hit. I don't think that's unreasonable.
You can't rent a venue like the Nordic Lodge down here or anywhere hardly at all for $600. If you want a wedding in one of the places around town, you're looking at almost $2,000 probably. So I'm not seeing where we're gouging or being unreasonable at all. Rates increase, it sucks, I know. Rates increase for us as well. The power increases, the fuel increases, the insurance increases, the parts for our machines increase. And yet somehow to try to offset that by raising these rates, somehow that's a bad thing. If you like the trails and you want to keep them in the condition they are or better, it's going to take a little bit more money because that's just the way of the world right now. It sucks, but that's how it is. So I'll be voting in favor of it.
Any other discussion? Blyson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote for the fee increases. I feel that we individually and collectively need to invest in our community and invest in our parks. And I am certain that if we as this board of trustees and as the board of county commissioners aren't willing to do it, and if the public isn't willing to do it, and we're not all in it together and to shoulder this burden, that I'm sure that the trajectory of the quality of our parks is going to go down. Now, I'm not saying things are great. I understand that there's always this value proposition, and if we're not getting what we feel, if we're not getting good value for what we're paying, it's certainly worth complaining about, or not going back the next time. But I know that some of the board members, and I know I'm committed to trying to make Natrona County Parks better. And I think it's going to be through additional investment of people's hard-earned money, even in these times of difficulty. And but like Commissioner Milne said, the county's costs across the board have gone up too. We're not raising these every year. Hopefully it'll be quite some time before we have to raise them again. But I think that's just where we're at right now. And I think that we can hope, and I know I'm committed to making things better so that value proposition is better for everybody to accept. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Mr. Coach.
So I am in favor of the rate increases, essentially just to, I guess, dovetail onto what Trustee Milne had talked about. There are differences between diffuse and non-diffuse services. Non-diffuse services include things like police and fire protection. Diffuse services, are things that are user fees. So in parks, user fees should sustain the users of those primary campsites, the mountain, whatnot. People that occasionally use it, maybe not for camping purposes, not for their full recreational purposes, those people are supported by their tax dollars. When me and my family go up and we enjoy the mountain, or we go out and we swim at the lake, we aren't directly contributing to that, but we are enjoying the facilities. And so, I think personally it's fair if we do decide to camp at those places or recreate at the trails or any other facilities that, we should pay some portion to enjoy those to a fuller extent. So, thank you.
Mr. Laird.
I think our Parks Director's request for this amount of money is probably in line with what should be done. I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to vote for it, though. We just created this Parks Board, and it's going to eventually have all citizens on it, maybe as many as 7 citizens. So if you're interested, you should apply, because I think we're starting to take applications to pick people. And what I want to do is I want to get that done as soon as we can, because I want to resign from this board and turn it over to the public, who then makes the decision on whether they want to raise their fellows' rates and what have you. And that's what's going to happen at some point. But right now, I'm not interested in raising anything. I want a Parks Board of Citizens. If they decide to do it, I'm going to say, you know, you do what you think, because they'll have that power.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor of approving the rate increases as proposed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say
No,
motion passes. So the increases have been approved. We will open it up for public comment at this time. So anybody that'd like to make public comment? All right. Since we don't have any public comment, we'll move on to trustees' comments. Commissioner Nicolason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and really, that's a comment to this board. What is the time frame for interviewing and appointing new members, and are we gonna do that all at, put on 5 or 7 new members all at once? I think we need some clarity on that.
That will be the commissioner's decision and not this trustees. So, I know we're all the same guys, but we'll have to have that discussion as a commission. So, okay. Mr. Milton, you got any other comments?
Just for clarification, are we taking applications for this board yet?
Yes,
Okay.
and we have been.
Great, thank you, Michelle.
Mr. Coates, anything?
I have nothing.
Mr. Laird?
just a comment of, just so you all know, we can have up to between 5 and 9 members on this board. And there has been some discussion about 7. Now, that's a county commissioner vote on that, which we haven't. Right now, it's set at 5. I don't know whether it'll be changed or not. It might be. But if you know people who want to be on this board, it's going to be it's a 5-year appointment, and it has power. We don't tell you what to do. You do things, and we retain the power to remove people from the board if we think that they're insane, you know. But people I see that come in here are just good citizens. So I'm happy with having any one of you. If you wanted to be on the board, I think you're all qualified to be on this board, and then you can hear what all your fellow people tell you, and then you can take it to your meetings and make decisions about how you want to do this. And that's the purpose of this board. And so this board's a good idea, but the good idea for me is that all the commissioners are getting off of it and turning it over to the people, and I really think that's what they all want to do. We have to do it legally, of course, and get all of our homework done here, and that's what we've been doing the past little while. So, pretty soon, it's going to be in the public's hands where I think it should be.
I want to thank Michael for the work you've done on this. I know this has been kind of a long time coming as far as getting everything presented. I do appreciate the public comment that we've had on it too. And I will tell you that we're looking at options, and we have been looking at options out at the lakes to use some of that money for other things. It takes time to move through that process and get it set up. So hopefully we can do that, and we can get a few more items taken care of as we move forward. But there's some things that the Bureau of Rec has been a little bit more flexible on, or told us that they'd be a little bit more flexible on. And those are being explored right now as far as what we can do. And that'll free up some of that additional money to do some other things that we could not do with them in the past because of their restrictions. It's not because of that we didn't want to. It's just limitations out there. We have to play by their rules. I mean, we operate it, but we still have to follow their rules in how we do things. But I do encourage people that are interested in applying for the board to do that. Get it in. We're probably going to start doing interviews before or too much longer, and maybe as soon as our next meeting or sometime like that, getting a few things set up so we can start doing some interviews, and at least we have a group of individuals that we can work with. We're hoping that that's going to be the case. So, but I can't give you a decision because the chairman of the trustees, and that's what we're acting on tonight. So that'll be a discussion that the commissioners will have to have in their own meeting. So with that.